Well, good Monday morning to you, and welcome to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. I'm Jim Tabor, your host, along with Drs. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition on Cowan Road in Gulfport, south of Pass Road. And remember the old commercial? Do you feel run down? Do you have iron, poor, tired blood? Take Geritol. Yeah. Kind of leads us into our topic of the day, which we're talking about iron.
But we're not going to be talking about taking Geritol.
No, not necessarily that. But the importance of iron in your system, because it is a component of hemoglobin.
Right.
And can you have too much? Can you not have enough? Yes.
Yes.
Yes to both
exactly.
sides. Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, both different problems can cause a lot of problems. I mean, actually,
they really can.
there's two different sides of that spectrum. We see a lot of the iron deficiencies and a lot of the anemias, but then on the other hand, we see a lot of iron overload, which is one reason why you don't just run out and take iron. So we did want to stress that in this show because the Geritol commercial.
Exactly. And it's funny, we just came up with that like 30 seconds before we went on the air.
We still have people to this day that come in that they started getting tired, so they started taking iron because they heard that commercial, years ago.
Feel run down.
And those are some of the people we see with iron overload, because fatigue is not really, just because you're tired does not mean it's always an iron deficiency. So you don't just run out and take iron, because that's one of the things we stress to people is you don't want to take iron unless you need it because of the iron overload problem.
Iron is one of those nutrients that you really want to have tested before you start going
Taking
too
it.
far. Yeah, because like you said, we see so many people come in and they've been a little tired, so they go out and get some iron, go to the big box store, buy them some iron, start taking it. And then a few months goes by and they're still feeling pretty tired and run down and so on. So they come in and we do some lab work on them, and sure enough, they're getting a little too much.
Iron's out the roof.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and iron, I don't know which one we want to talk about first, whether we want to talk about deficiency or overload, but overload can cause some pretty severe health problems.
Well,
really
let's talk about
Let's
overload first.
Okay.
And getting too much iron and how detrimental it can be to you.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, some of us, and it's primarily in the Caucasians. The other races don't seem to have a big issue with it, but genetically, the Caucasians have a problem of having a gene that can cause us to accumulate too much iron.
Right. One in every 200, no, actually,
one
in every 8 has at least a carrier gene, where you actually have one gene for iron overload. 1 in 200 have 2 genes, which can cause pretty severe problems. Now, a lot of when you read about it will tell you that it'll only cause problems if you have 2 genes, which that's not what we have found actually in people, because we find a lot of people, they end up having 1 gene and they have severe iron overload.
Yeah.
So iron overload, some of the problems that it can cause: heart disease, heart failure, arthritis, erectile dysfunction, and liver problems. So a lot of these these problems are caused by too much iron, and it is probably the most underdiagnosed problem in the country. Is there
any way of, without blood work, is there any way of finding out if you have too much iron?
No.
Well, you have this aura of oxygen, right? No, I'm just
No, you can get, if you're severe, you'll get a bronze color to your skin. You really will. You'll actually start getting a discoloration of the skin.
Really?
But that is usually in pretty extreme cases. So I would say that's actually extreme. Really, blood work is the way you find it out. You actually...
No mental taste in your mouth or anything
Not necessary. Not necessarily. Now, what you will see...
iron. I'm sorry.
Which I didn't catch it.
Well, but speaking of that, that's one reason that, when you start talking about iron and the problems it can cause, everybody's talked about antioxidants, right? Well, iron is an oxidizer. Think about the bumper on your old truck out there. It's kind of got some rust on it. Well, that's iron oxide, rust.
Right, and go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we have a caller, Ann of Biloxi, first caller this morning. Good morning, Ann. What's your question for the doctors?
Like I say, I met him at Winn-Dixie one day, her husband, and I forgot to ask if there's anything that I could take. I have that poor circulation, and it's just hard to walk. I have a good doctor, but,
We do have quite a few things for circulation.
Probably one of the best things that you can take is a compound called nattokinase. You know, it's something that's really odd that I'm sure you don't eat anything. There's a cheese that the Japanese eat. It's a fermented cheese made from soy, and it's called natto. And from what I understand, I mean, I've never really.
But everybody
eaten
says
this
it's
stuff.
really bad.
Smells bad and all that, but it obviously tastes pretty good because the Japanese eat a lot of it. And that's probably why that was theorized as one of the reasons they have such a low incidence of heart disease in Japan. But they also eat a lot of seafood and so on too. But the natto actually is one of the best, and the research on it, you know, is quite.
There is a lot of
extensive.
research, but it's nattokinase, which is an enzyme from that fermented soy cheese.
Yeah.
So it is an enzyme, and it tends to eat up things that even hold together plaques and clots and little fibrinogen and things like that. It eats it up. And it is also good, like circulation is one of the big things it's known for. So that's one thing for circulation. We have a lot of different things for circulation, and it really depends on also what other kind of medications you're on.
Correct.
Because if you're on are you on a strong blood thinner?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay.
If you're not on a
Natto would be perfect
if you're
for you.
not on a blood thinner, nattokinase would be good. Even ginkgo biloba would be good.
Bromelain.
Fish oil, bromelain. There's so many things you can take. If you come by, and we can actually maybe show you the different ones and see which one might be the best for you.
Right. Yeah, I'm 81 years old.
Okay. And that's actually your natto is your best stroke prevention. And in your
really is.
age group, it's something that you always want to do is prevent strokes. And so yes, you want your legs to feel better, but at the same time, you want circulation to your brain as well.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks for the call, Ann. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Those are phone lines. They're open to you right now. If you have a question for the doctors regarding iron, maybe you're feeling run down, what can you do? Or you can pass the question along to our operator, or you can, of course, ask them personally yourself. But we're kind of kick things off talking about getting too much iron.
Too much iron. And, you know, again, the way you find out if you have too much iron is blood test. And it's some simple blood tests, not expensive blood testing.
No.
But your ferritin, which is your stored iron, which is what's so bad is because you build up storage and it damages the organs.
One of the biggest storage places is actually the liver.
In the liver.
And that can cause a lot of liver problems. So.
Right. And so you do see, you know, iron storage problems. Now, we talked about the genetic component. There's also some non-genetic iron overload problems as well. So it doesn't have to just be genetic.
Right.
Okay. Well, Tricia Biloxi's on the line. If you'll hang on for just a moment, Tricia, we'll come to you and get your question. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We'll be right back. And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. I'm Jim Tabor, along with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors of Nutrition on Cowan Road in Gulfport. Tricia of Biloxi is on the phone. Good morning, Tricia. What's your question for the doctors?
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
Fine, how are you?
Great. I wanted to see, I have a low iron in my family, and my family actually has thalassemia too. I've been blessed with, I guess, a little bit of iron, so I do have low iron, but it's not thalassemia. I heard that if you take iron supplements, that it can really cause harm to your liver. Well, I wanted to see, and I'm going to get off the phone because I really want to hear this.
Okay.
What vitamins can I take for low iron that would help me? I know thalassemia, nothing helps, you know,
Right
it
now-
stays at one level.
Yeah,
But I wanted to see me having a low iron, what vitamins are good that won't harm the liver.
Okay.
And I appreciate talking to y'all, but I'm going to get off and I want to hear this.
Okay, thank you. For one, thalassemia is another one of those genetically inherited. It's an anemia. It is not necessarily an iron deficiency, though. That's why a lot of people, they will have a low hemoglobin. And we talk about a lot of times when you see low hemoglobin, you think possibly low iron, but it is not always. So just because you have low hemoglobin, do not take iron. That's probably what you've heard, that it can hurt you with thalassemia, taking iron, because a lot of people with thalassemia do not need iron. So I always tell, with thalassemia, we tend to use more of the methylated B12 and methylated folic acid and other things for the hemoglobin, but not iron, unless the iron and the ferritin in the blood are low. Then, if you have low iron and ferritin, it is not harmful to take iron. So that's kind of where it's essential. If you're low in iron, you have to have it.
But that's why you have to test.
Right.
You
That's
know,
why you have to
especially if you've got thalassemia.
Right.
And we run into these all the time. You know, folks that come in and you know, they've got that Mediterranean descent where it's kind of primarily where you see most of the thalassemias. And, you know, we always stress if they've got a history of thalassemia themselves or in the family, test it and test it every time.
And just to answer the second part of your question, we have a really good multivitamin that does not have iron because we don't recommend iron without checking it. Now, it's the Megavites 1 and the Megavites Lean. Both have the forms of the folic acid and B12 that you want if you have thalassemia. So if you have thalassemia, you do want special forms of those B vitamins.
Yeah, especially those two.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Jacqueline from South Mississippi. Good morning, Jacqueline. What's your question for the doctors?
Yes, I have a question for you, sir. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good morning.
What can we do for you, Jacqueline?
I'm struggling with acid reflux for a very long time.
Okay.
Do I have to take medication for the rest of my life, and what is really good for the acid reflux?
Okay. Acid reflux is a problem that many, many people have, and your diet plays a huge role in acid reflux. So we see a lot of people that don't have to take medication forever if they change their diet. So what you eat plays a big role in getting off of the sugar and the grains and things like that especially sugar, huge difference in acid reflux. Now another thing is acid reflux a lot of times is because the body's not making enough of the digestive enzymes needed to break your food down. And we have all kind of digestive enzymes at our location.
Yeah, probiotics are big too.
And probiotics are good at actually helping digestion as well. So there's other things you can do natural that helps your own body digestion better to where you don't have to take medication for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also need to ask you this question before you go. The doctor told me that I have a stomach hernia. Do I have to have surgery for the hernia?
Hernia, if it's a hiatal hernia that you're talking about, a lot of people that have acid reflux have hiatal hernias. It's very, very, very common. And usually it's not surgical unless it gets severe. So usually only your doctor that looks at the hernia can tell you if you have to have surgery. Most people do not, because you can say almost there's many people out there with hiatal hernias and don't even know it. So it's actually a common problem, and most of the time it is not surgical.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your call. Diane of Ocean Springs, will soy products affect thyroid medications?
They can, but you're going to have to consume quite a bit. And here's one of the big things about soy. Now if you're eating like edamame every day, yeah, it's probably going to do something for you because it has what they call a goitrogenic effect. To the body.
And it's not that it affects the thyroid medications, it affects the thyroid itself. So, your thyroid medications, when you take a thyroid medication, you don't want to take anything with it. Usually it's empty stomach is what you want to do with any thyroid medicine because there's a lot of things that can block absorption of thyroid medication. Now, soy itself has been known to be goitrogenic, which can affect the thyroid, but not necessarily.
Not the medication, right.
It might make you need thyroid medication.
That's true. And that's kind of what happens. There's a big thing about soy, and one of the biggest issues about soy today is that it's pretty much all of it is genetically modified. And the genetically modified stuff, I think we've talked about this on other shows. I'm not so much worried about, what little bit, if you're just eating a trace of soy here and there, that's probably not such a big deal, but the big deal comes from, not from the soy, but from it being a GMO, and it is doused with glyphosate and or quote unquote Roundup, and glyphosate can adversely work on your gut, and that's going to cause you all kind of issues.
Oh yeah.
All kinds.
Okay. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. If you have questions for the doctors, you can call in. I guess let's
let's
switch
talk about some deficiency.
Yeah, a deficiency
that,
of iron, what
right.
it does for you.
And she was talking about it being harmful. It's not harmful if you need it. We see many women, especially in childbearing years. Of course, having a cycle every month makes a lot of people iron deficient. And so in another group of people that we're seeing are iron deficient are people that take a lot of acid reducers. So we had the other lady ask about acid reducers. Acid reducers block your absorption of iron. So
other nutrients.
And other nutrients, exactly. But we see a lot of anemias with that as well.
So all those Tums you're taking is not necessarily that good for you whenever you had...
Again, when you do lab work, when we do our basic lab work, we always look at the hemoglobin hematocrit. If it's low, you can't always say it's iron, but then you think that it could be. So then you check the iron levels. Right. And so that's something that we always want to look at. When you see a young female that's a little iron deficient, not that abnormal. When you start seeing a middle-aged man iron deficient, there is usually another underlying problem. Because unless they're a regular blood donor, because blood donating actually makes you deficient in iron, just like bleeding every month. And so we always say if something like that shows up, we've had a lot of people over the years, and they show up and they're in their 50s and they might be anemic and iron deficient. we'll usually send them to find out, make sure they're not bleeding from somewhere, and a lot of times they are, and a lot of times it can even be colon cancer. It can be one of the things that shows up with anemias when it shouldn't be. Now, with, like I said, with young women, pretty common. With pregnant women, common. And what we hear a lot from people is, well, I'm anemic and I'm iron deficient. My doctor's already found that out, but I can't take iron. Well, that's because of the source of the iron.
Yeah, there's some, you know, one of the sources that they use is the ferrous sulfate. And I mean, literally go out and lick the bumper on your truck. It's the same thing, ferrous sulfate. And it's really hard on the digestive tract, extremely. The source of iron that we use is a bisglycinate, which glycine or glycine, making it a glycinate, we take 2 amino acids of glycine. And we kind of take that iron and glob it together with this glycine. Now what happens, the body thinks, hey, that stuff's just a protein. So it absorbs it very readily. And it's a lower dose of iron, so it doesn't cause the constipation, all the other side effects.
Stomach problems and the issues, because there's a lot of stomach problems associated with not absorbing your iron, which is what most people have problems with.
Okay. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We'll be back with our special of the week and our final segment in just a moment. And welcome back to our Monday Morning Live edition. Violet of Biloxi wants to know, what causes kidney problems? Can iron play into it?
One of the biggest causes of kidney problems is sugar.
Right, diabetes. Diabetes and hypertension. If you look at, I mean, there's tons of things that can, I mean, there can be genetic causes. There can be all kind of causes for kidney disease. You can have trauma and infect the kidney. You can have infection that actually makes the kidneys fail. There's so many things that can affect it. But I would say diabetes and high blood pressure are your 2 biggest problems for kidneys. Now, how does iron play into it? It's not one of the things known to be the first thing you look for when you have a kidney problem is iron overload. Liver, yes, but it can affect any organ. So an iron overload problem can affect any organ. Now, with kidney disease, you always see anemias. And the hemoglobin will be low because the kidneys put out something called adipoetin that tells the body to make blood.
Well, it tells the bone marrow.
A lot of people will assume that it's an iron deficiency, and it's not always. Again, don't take iron, even with kidney problems, without checking your iron levels.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, Kena overemphasized.
That's what we wanted to stress today more than anything is do blood tests. Ferritin and an iron panel. Those 2 test. If you just do those 2, it's $45. It's not an expensive test to do. It's not hard to find out if you have a problem, and it can make a big difference in your life and how you feel if you do, because fatigue is also a symptom of too much iron, just like too little iron. And another thing with the too little iron, if you're chewing ice, almost a telltale sign that you have an iron deficiency.
Really?
Yes. Now, you can't say 100% of the time, but if people come in saying, I just can't get enough ice, almost always.
If they're munching on ice, it's a, you know, and it goes back to, it's a primal instinct, truly.
And it really, you see a lot of people, if they're real severe iron deficiency, they'll actually start chewing on ice. And then when you start helping the iron deficiency, they'll stop chewing ice. It's funny because it really is. Or like my teeth are getting all messed up from chewing these ice. That's what we hear. We really do. The dentists tell people.
I don't know. I know there's a few of these restaurants right here that got some of the best ice that you can get the way it's made. What's our specials this week?
Of course.
Iron, what else?
It's for treatment for iron. Now this is for iron deficiency, and we actually have Opti-FE, which is that bisglycinate form of iron he talked about. And Iron Response. Iron Response is a food-based iron. It's a whole food supplement that is very absorbable. Again, it's for a whole food source. So both of those are really good for iron deficiencies. I have people that even could not absorb any other form of iron, and they can absorb usually both of those. The Iron Response is probably a little bit more, even more absorbable, but it does cost a little bit more. So I do tell people it's still not expensive. I mean, iron is pretty inexpensive anyway.
And that Opti-FE, we actually put, along with that iron, we put those cofactors that we need, the methylated B12 and the methylated folate.
And vitamin C, which we haven't gotten to. With an iron deficiency, you always want to make sure you take vitamin C because it helps the absorption of iron. If you have iron overload, on the other hand, you don't want to take vitamin C because it's going to make you absorb more iron that you don't need. Now, we did not talk about what is the treatment for iron overload, because the treatment for, of course, anemia is to replace your iron. Iron overload is getting rid of blood. I mean, basically, you've always heard of bloodletting. I mean, that is what it is. Now, phlebotomy, to actually take out part of the blood, so it's very treatable. That's why we stress it can cause so many health problems. Like I said, especially in men. It's more common in men than it is in women. And it's so many health problems that is so preventable if you know that it's there. So.
And one of the things that you said, the way you do that, donate blood.
Yes.
Exactly.
We recommend that almost anybody, if you're not anemic, it's healthy to donate blood anyway.
Actually, they did a study, it's been a few years back, and they showed that men who regularly donate blood have a 30%, that's pretty significant, 30% less risk for cardiovascular disease or heart disease.
Really?
30%.
Yeah. So it's something that helps other people. And like I said, this time of the year, there's usually blood drives everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
And
Yeah.
so, if there's no reason that they won't let some people donate if you've left the country or if you have certain communicable diseases. They don't want your blood.
Yeah,
but
that's
if
true.
you don't have a reason not to, if you don't have a reason that you can't donate blood. It's healthy, unless you're anemic. Now, if you're iron deficient yourself, don't, because then you're just going to make your problem worse.
Yeah.
Because it really is. When you donate blood, it takes iron out. So it makes sense that for too much iron, that is your treatment.
To donate blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
or
good idea.
actually, in the severe cases, like I said, we send a lot of people to a local hematologist, and they actually take blood out because they can take it out faster. If somebody's to where they're real high, it can actually be taken out way quicker than what you can donate blood.
And they have to monitor
They
them,
monitor
get
it,
through
and
that,
yeah, so they do a lot of monitoring, and so we do send a lot of people to a hematologist as well.
Okay. We got a couple of minutes left, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We're talking about iron and the importance of it in your blood and or in your whole system, and what, of course, too much can do for you and what not having enough can do
The
for you.
fatigue
So-
factor is so big with either one. I mean, because I have the people that come in that say, I can't take iron, but I'm iron deficient. I'm so tired. What do you have? I said, the only thing that's going to help you is iron. I mean, it's the only thing that's going to make you feel better, because it is a big thing about carrying oxygen. If you don't carry that oxygen around,
Well, a lot of people will say that, I feel run down. I need vitamins. I need to take some vitamins. And then they go to the big box store and they get, there's vitamins. It's
just
got,
taking anything. I had recently a man, and he was feeling really, really bad, so he started taking iron. Well, oh my gosh, he had severe iron overload when we checked him. I'm like, okay, the first thing you can do is stop taking that iron. For one, you can get iron overload, not genetically, of course, but from taking too much iron. So just taking a bunch of iron indiscriminately without checking it is not the best choice.
Oh, kind of goes back to, our diet too. We kind of try to get back focused on that, but when you think about it, a long, long time ago, what did mom and grandmom use for cooking? It was an iron skillet, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you got a little bit
You get
trace
iron
of
that
iron
way.
that way. Although not a lot,
Although if
but
you
some.
have too much iron, do not use iron
Do
skillets.
not use it,
That's the one
but,
thing we always tell people. Stop using your iron skillets.
And of course, we see an awful lot of people that have the deficiencies, and of course, that use the nonstick pans, and they don't eat, any of the red meats and so on, and they don't eat any of the greens and stuff. So their diet is so bad that there's not enough of these basic nutrients in it, which might be iron in that case, and even some of the cofactors and the B vitamins and so on that go along with that. So
yeah, it's kind of simple. Your body has to have iron to function, but yet too much is not good.
Right.
So too much of a good thing is not always good. So it's something but if you need iron, there's nothing else that's going to replace it.
I'll promise you.
And like they said, the best way to find out if you have a deficiency or if you have too much is come get some blood work.
It's some pretty simple blood work, really. It's not real complicated, like she said, not real expensive. And we see that so many people, and if there is any indication either way, we're going to go ahead and
You
check
can even
them.
have hair loss with iron deficiency
Yes.
or iron overload. A lot of the symptoms are
one.
exactly the same. So you can, all these people losing hair, sometimes will do it and they're anemic. And it's like, okay, your hair's falling out, not because of your thyroid. It's because you don't
always
have any
blame the
iron.
thyroid.
Everybody blames thyroid.
I got this extra 10 pounds. It's my thyroid.
Yeah. And you can get your blood work done right there at Dr. Nutrition.
That's right.
Brooke is a registered nurse. She's a great young lady, does an awesome job.
Yes.
And you don't need an appointment. And you, of course, there's no charge ever for a consultation. You might have to wait a few minutes because they stay kind of busy. So what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're going to talk about some extra cardiac tests that most people don't ever have done. It's something to look for inflammation markers and something called homocysteine. And we're also going to talk some about stroke prevention. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the cardiac tests.
Which is pretty important nowadays.
All right. Well, have yourself a great week and stay warm out there. Be safe out there when you're doing your Christmas shopping.